6 assassins showed up. They didn't expect him to fight back. Meanwhile, where Michael Mason lives completely cut off from the world, just him and his dog. His entire life is confined to a small house, an old lighthouse, and a quiet boathouse. The only human contact he has comes from Jessie and her uncle, who regularly bring him supplies, though Jessie has no idea her uncle once served alongside Mason. From a distance, Mason silently watches as Jessie rows ashore, unloads a crate, and leaves it behind. But before heading back, she places a small gift box beside it, something personal, just for him. Mason doesn't approach while they're there. He waits, watching. And even after they leave, when he finally walks down to collect the supplies, he notices the gift, but deliberately ignores it, refusing to let anyone get close. Days pass in complete isolation as Mason drifts through a quiet, repetitive routine, drinking alone, walking with his dog, playing chess against himself, and sleeping, over and over again. Intensely questioned by a government committee over a controversial surveillance program known as THEA. Officials accuse him of crossing the line, revealing that THEA has secretly tapped into virtually every phone and camera across the UK, collecting massive amounts of data and turning the country into what they describe as a full-blown surveillance state. But Manafort pushes back. He insists the program isn't abuse, it's protection. According to him, THEA has already stopped multiple attacks and helped identify countless terrorists. To him, it's not unethical, it's necessary. Not long after the hearing, Manafort is called in for a private meeting with the Prime Minister. The mood is tense, THEA has become a political nightmare, and the backlash is growing fast. To keep things off the record, the Prime Minister shuts down all recording devices before making his offer. Publicly, Manafort will take the fall, he'll be fired to show accountability, while his protégé, Roberta, steps in as his replacement. But behind the scenes, it's a different story. Manafort will quietly disappear from the spotlight and continue running THEA exactly how he wants, operating in the shadows with full control. It's a clean cover-up. Manafort doesn't hesitate, he accepts the deal. The Prime Minister smirks and congratulates him on his retirement, knowing full well it's anything but. Days later, back on Mason's Island, a violent storm is rolling in as Jessie and her uncle make another supply run. Within seconds, both boats lose control and capsize in the violent water. From his house, Mason notices the sudden silence, and realizes something's wrong. Without hesitation, he moves. Racing to the boathouse, he launches his own motorized boat into the storm and heads straight into the chaos. When searching from the surface isn't enough, he dives in himself. Underwater, he finds Jessie tangled in ropes from her uncle's wrecked boat. He frees her inside the cabin, already drowned. There's nothing he can do. Forced to leave the man behind, Mason brings Jessie back to the surface and fights his way through the storm, getting her safely back to the island. The next morning, Jessie wakes up in pain, her ankle badly bruised and now infected. Mason makes it clear she's not going anywhere anytime soon, she'll need a few days to recover. But Jessie has one question he can't avoid. What happened to her uncle? Mason doesn't sugarcoat it, he tells her the truth. He drowned. The news hits her hard, leaving her completely shattered. Over the next few days, they fall into an uneasy routine. Jessie focuses on healing, while Mason drifts through his isolation, drinking, playing chess alone, and sleeping like nothing's changed. Mason eventually tells her she's free to leave once her ankle heals. With no other choice, Jessie tries to adjust to this strange new reality. She names Jack, a name Mason surprisingly doesn't hate, and even proving she can hold her own in chess. But as days pass, Mason realizes her injury isn't improving the way it should. Without proper medicine, it won't heal. So for the first time in a long while, he leaves the island and heads to the mainland to find a pharmacy. Old habits kick in, Being a former operative, he carefully avoids every camera he can. But it's not enough. For just a split second, he's caught on someone's phone camera, and that's all it takes. The footage is instantly pulled into THEA's system, where he's flagged as a high-risk violent target, drowning him. Chaos breaks out immediately. A third man gets too close. Mason smashes a lantern against him and fires a flare gun, setting him completely ablaze. Another soldier tries to flank him, but Mason is already there. He stabs him in the neck and kicks him off the cliff without hesitation. But the fight isn't over. While Mason is locked in combat outside, another soldier finds the house. Jack, Jesse's dog, attacks him immediately, but the soldier reacts fast and shoots Jack dead. Inside, Jesse is discovered hiding in the bathroom and dragged out toward the beach. Mason, still fighting through the chaos, takes down a fifth attacker in the boathouse, impaling him on a hook before grabbing his weapon. Just in time, he sees Jesse being found and stopping the extraction. The aftermath is devastating. As Mason gathers what little supplies he can and sees Jack's body, he makes a call to an old contact. His message is simple: he's on the run. With baggage. And he needs help. With that, Mason and Jesse abandon the island. Back at MI6 headquarters, Roberta is left in complete shock. The entire strike team has been wiped out, every single operative gone. It forces a terrifying question: who exactly is Michael Mason? Meanwhile, Mason and Jesse reach the mainland and arrive at a remote farmhouse. There, Mason shows her how to properly handle an assault rifle taken from the attackers, training her quickly for survival. But when they enter the house, they try to reach Workman, but he's already gone dark. Communications cut. He's completely off the grid and operating on his own. The pursuit ends violently when Mason manages to force Workman's vehicle off the road, flipping it over in a crash. Still injured but alive, Workman stumbles away from the wreckage, bruised and bleeding. Down a quiet road, a concerned woman stops her car to check on him. Behind her, another police officer arrives. The moment escalates instantly. Workman kills the officer without hesitation. Back at MI6, Roberta realizes the situation is far worse than she thought. Mason pleads with Arthur to help Jesse get to safety, but Arthur refuses. Jesse then discovers why. Arthur is dying. Terminal cancer. When Mason presses him, Arthur finally admits the truth: he may only have about a year left to live. Workman, who has been relentlessly tracking Mason and Jesse, finally closes in on their location just as they're preparing to leave Arthur's house. The moment he arrives, everything erupts into chaos. Mason and Workman end up in a brutal, close-quarters fight inside the library. No distance, no escape, just pure survival. At one point, Workman gets the upper hand, pinning Mason down with a knife to his throat. They stop briefly in a nearby town where Arthur gives Mason a phone, just in case they need emergency contact. But back at MI, with options running out, Mason and Jesse are forced to take a risky move. They head to a nightclub owned by a trafficker named Kamal. His offer is direct: he'll give Kamal something valuable, safe passage and a completely new identity for Jesse, along with enough money to start over somewhere else. Kamal initially refuses, saying Mason has no leverage. But Mason flips the situation, reminding him that he's only been protected so far because Manafort kept certain things under control. Now that Manafort is operating from the shadows again, Kamal could easily become the next loose end. The threat lands. Kamal backs off and tells Mason to wait while he makes arrangements. Meanwhile, the situation escalates behind the scenes. Manafort, now fully aware of Mason's location, sends another kill team straight to the nightclub. At the same time, Roberta deploys her own unit, but with a very different goal. When she realizes her team is still minutes away while Manafort's operatives are already inside the building, everything becomes clear. Chaos erupts. Manafort's kill team storms the club. Mason immediately engages, taking them down one by one in a fast, brutal fight. But in the confusion, one attacker manages to grab Jessie and escape with her outside. After narrowly avoiding Roberta's incoming team, he manages to intercept and rescue Jessie. Together, they sprint toward the extraction point and race for the boat. They reach the dock just in time. Before they can finish the moment, gunfire erupts nearby. Workman has found them again. Mason forces Jessie onto the boat, and it launches away with her to safety. Left behind, Mason and Workman engage in a final shootout, both running out of ammo. In a last time, asking if he even knows why he was ordered to kill them. Workman coldly responds that it doesn't matter. He lunges at Mason with a knife, but Mason counters with a heavy chain attached to a metal pipe, swinging it with full force. It connects, crushing impact, and Workman is killed instantly, his neck broken. Days later, Manafort is back at his mansion, casually watching the news as Roberta deals with the aftermath of the crisis he helped create. As he prepares a drink, he notices 3 months later, in Spain, Jessie has finally begun building a new life. MI6, led by Roberta, keeps quiet surveillance on her location, fully aware that Mason may return someday. As the day winds down, they prepare to leave their monitoring post, until they notice something unusual. The camera inside the cafe Jessie is sitting in suddenly tilts upward. Inside the cafe, Jessie receives a small bag from the cashier, who tells her it was left by a friend who stopped by earlier. Curious, she opens it, and finds a chess piece inside. At that same moment, outside on the street, Mason is briefly visible in the distance. This ending wraps everything in a quiet but powerful way. After all the chaos, betrayals, and non-stop violence, it doesn't end with another explosion or big twist, but with distance and restraint. Mason finally finishes what he started by taking out Manafort, but instead of claiming a normal life, he does what he's always done, he disappears again. Jessie's final moment hits differently because it shows the real cost of everything. She doesn't get a perfect reunion or closure, just a sign that Mason is still alive and still protecting her from afar. The chess piece is subtle, but it says everything. Their connection is still there, just no longer in the same world. Overall, it's a bittersweet ending. Justice is served, but nobody really gets a clean win.